ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for staying with us for this edition of the news, where we give you major stories from Africa and the world. Beginning in Africa, the Democratic Republic of Congo reaches its peak in the new Ebola cases. The WHO Regional Director for Africa says 56 more cases have been recorded, and this is of great concern, particularly as it is now surpassing the previous outbreak in the locality of Mbandaka. An emergency vaccination campaign has been underway in the Equateur province in Northwestern Democratic Republic of Congo on the border with the Republic of Congo. The vaccination campaign is targeting urban centers as a priority. The WHO says it does not have sufficient resources to reach the rural areas concerned. Out of the 56 cases, there are 22 deaths. It should be noted that this outbreak is the 11th of the Ebola viral disease in the DR Congo. Between 2018 till now, Central Africa's largest nation has faced not only an Ebola epidemic, but also measles epidemic, including the endemic malaria. Cases of polio and cholera have been recorded as well. As protests are ongoing in the Democratic Republic of Congo for the dissolution of the parliament, the Catholic Church in the country has joined with full support, encouraging protesters to march on. The church and its supporters say the present parliament in the Democratic Republic of Congo is not legitimate. Protesters say the MPs are serving the interests of those who got them there, rather than serving the people as they should. They say the last elections were rigged in favor of former President Joseph Kabila. Hundreds of them, backed by the Catholic Church, marched to the Parliament building in Kinshasa, demanding the dissolution of Parliament as well as new electoral reforms before the new and fair elections, which is in 3 years' time. Though speculations hold that the electoral reform at this time is almost impossible, the church and its supporters, as well as protesters, have promised weekly protests. So far, at least 11 deaths have been recorded in the protests. Niger is to reopen its airspace. The Republic of Niger on Friday, July 11th, announced plans to reopen its air borders beginning from August 1, 2020. The country became the latest ready to restart its air travels. Niger had closed its borders since March in a bid to fight against the spread of the new coronavirus. Due to the reopening of its air borders, passengers arriving in Niger are expected to present a negative test report to COVID-19 dating less than 72 hours. They will also be subjected to a rapid test and then expected to undergo self-isolation, according to the presidency. Passengers without a test report will be charged a fee for a test. Travelers leaving from Niger will also present a negative COVID-19 test report. The country, which has for several years faced violence from insurgent groups, has recorded over 1,000 cases and 69 deaths. After 4 months of total lockdown of churches in Rwanda, they have finally reopened for service. The country has allowed churches to reopen, however, with strict conditions meant to limit the spread of coronavirus. This is according to a statement by the Prime Minister's office published last week. The security measures mainly involve the registration of churchgoers at the entrance. Worshippers would also need to wear face masks, keep social distancing of at least 1 to 5 meters, make sure to not give offerings in cash, and children under the age of 12 will not be allowed in church. Several Rwandans have praised the decision and the security measures, while others complain about the fact that bars and schools remain closed. They say bars too should be allowed to open. Whatever the case, churchgoers have regained their churches as from this Sunday, July 19. Schools will reopen only in September. It is 4 years already since 24-year-old Adama Traoré died in France after being held down by 3 gendarme officers for not carrying his identity card, a brutal action of the police that cost the young man his life. 4 years later, echoes of his death and demands for justice and racial equality have filled the streets in France as thousands gathered in protest over the weekend. The protest was held in commemoration of the 4th anniversary of the death of the black man in custody, July 2016. Added to the recent George Floyd case in the USA, anger against such actions sparked police brutality and racial injustice in France as well as other parts of the world. Such long-existing circumstances have sparked distrust in the police in many communities. The protest, which also focused on broader anti-government grievances, was co-organized by climate and gender equality activities. In the same line with the fight against racial injustice, a Black Lives Matter giant painting has been made in the biggest city of Quebec Province, Canada, Montreal, as homage to the late George Floyd, who was recently also a victim of police brutality in the US. Community organizers say the giant wall painting written La vie des Noirs compte is the first of such murals in French. It was completed last Friday by some 20 artists who put final touches to the giant mural. The idea, according to the artist, came from similar artistic works made in Washington and New York following the death of George Floyd, an African-American who was choked to death by a white police officer in Minneapolis late May. It is meant as a support for the black community and their demands in relation to racism. The mayor of Montreal came to see the mural and congratulated the artist. America mourns the Georgia congressman and leading civil rights activist John Lewis, who is no more. He passed away Friday night at the age of 80. He was the last survivor of the Big Six civil rights activist, noted for opposition to racial segregation. John Lewis was often referred to as the conscience of the Congress and a lion of the civil rights movement who did everything with love for his nation. His family, American citizens and leaders have been reacting to his death, paying him tribute and expressing their sadness. President Donald Trump and his administration offered his condolences to his family and ordered flags have stayed in the honor. John Lewis leaves behind a rich career and is hoped that his memory shall be an inspiration to Americans and the world. And that's the end of this edition of the news. Thank you for being with us, and we do hope to see you next time. Goodbye.